Hey, welcome back. In this video tutorial, we're going to make a player-activated trigger that raises and lowers a platform. Now, you can obviously change the direction of movement so that you can use this for sliding doors, walls. You can even make a rotating door. But in this tutorial, we're going to focus on just setting the trigger up and getting a platform to move up and down like an elevator. All right, if this is the first time joining me, you can check out the other tutorials for this game here at Putting on the Fritz 3D Visualization. I also have other tutorials, other game tutorials, other tutorials on materials and things like that, moving assets. I also have tutorials on animation, 3D modeling, and those type of things using Maya. All right, so now that I've done that shameless plug, let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about for the game. All right, so right here is this platform. So if I raise it up, you can kind of see, and it's actually a really big platform. I shrunk it down to fit into this space. Okay, and if I hit play, what happens is I'm going to then move into the trigger. Obviously, the yellow box, that little box. I left it turned on so you can see what it looks like. In the game, you would actually have it hidden, and then when you move off of it, it'll move back down. Now I'm going to jump back down here to show you the next piece of it. So the other thing about it is we're going to use a reverse. So when a player exits the box, the platform will stop moving up and will go back down and reverse its direction. And that will be kind of look nice. It'll be set it up exactly the way we want it to, so that every single time it'll be where it's supposed to be and ready to move up and down. All right, so let's go ahead and get this set up. Now that platform I got from the Infinity Blade Temple kit. So basically this one right here, Infinity Blade Temple, in the marketplace. It is free in the Epic Marketplace. Then you just add it to your project and it'll show up as the Environment Pack 2, okay, under Meshes. And then it's this platform right here. And you'll see just how large it is when I put it here into the scene and get everything all set up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is we actually need to make a blueprint. All right, so I'm going to go into my content. I'm going to go into my blueprints. I'm going to go to actors, and I'm going to put this one in here with my platforms. Even though this is a trigger, so I'm kind of on the fence. It could either go in with the triggers or it can go in with platforms. But since this is a platform trigger, I'm going to go ahead and put it in platforms because technically these are kind of triggers as well, I guess. Well, no, they're not. But anyway, I'd over talking here. So let's go ahead and go. We're going to right click in this empty area. I'm going to hit the blueprint class, and this is going to be an actor. Okay. And I'm going to call this BP underscore, and this will be my, I guess we'll call this a platform elevator, something like that. Okay, now I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to pop this all the way up here to the top. All right. So right now we have nothing in here. I'm going to leave the scene root. It doesn't hurt to leave it. That'll also give me the ability to rescale, move around, rotate the other things that we put underneath it. Because if I put that as the default root, I will then lose that ability. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add in a static mesh. So I'm going to click Add Static Mesh, and this is going to be my, I'll just call this the pedestal. Or it could be the elevator or whatever you want to call it. All right. So now I have the static mesh for that. I'm going to go ahead and go into my content drawer, go back to my content environment pack 2 meshes, and I'm going to find that pedestal. I could have also probably typed it in here. It would have been faster, but SM platform is what it is. I'm going to click on it. I can either click and drag, or I can just hit this little arrow. It'll pop it right in there for me. You can see it's pretty massive in scale. All right, now with that done, the next thing I need to do is I'm going to add a trigger. Okay, whoops, actually it's a box, my bad. Okay, and it's going to be a box collision. And Right now its scale is really small. I'm going to hit R on the keyboard. Hit R on the keyboard. Come on. All right, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on that little picture up there. I don't know why it wasn't working. And I'm going to go ahead and scale this up. Take in most of the pedestal right in this area right here. And you can scale it and move it wherever you need to. So I think I'm just going to put it in the middle. I don't want it coming out at the edges down there. And actually, my bad on that. I don't need it to actually go down that far. So I'm going to pull this down. Just kind of make it about that tall. And then select here. Nope, nope, nope. Don't want the center. Come on, just this one. There we go. All right. Kind of scale it about like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. I also forgot to give it a name, and it decided that's why R wasn't working. All right, makes sense. So right up here, I'm going to rename it from R, and we're going to call this trigger. All right. So now we got the basic setups. Make sure my pedestal is zeroed out here. Everything's zeroed. Take a look at my trigger. My trigger, of course, is going to be in different positions because of how I have it set up. And the scale is going to be a little bit different too. And that's going to be fine. And right here, so on my other one, my demo, I had made it so you could actually see it in the game right here. This is the hidden and visible, those type of things. This is going to be hidden in the game. I don't want it to be visible, but if you do want to be able to leave it on there so you can kind of see it while you're trying to get it all set up, then that's something you can do here. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, that's pretty much that. So we're going to scroll down all the way down with the trigger selected. We're going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to need two different things here. We're going to use the on component begin overlap, and then I'm going to select the trigger again, and we're also going to use on component end overlap, and those should be both popped into our event graph right now. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to first do a check to see who's overlapping it, because depending on where you put this in your game and if you have particles and things like that moving through it, they could conceivably trigger this trigger. So we don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure that the other component is an other actor, and in this case the other actor is the player. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I'm going to get player pawn. And that will work with this one. If you're using a regular character, you can use it to get player character, but for us, we're using a pawn. The rollerball is a pawn. Okay, and then I'm also going to right click, and I'm going to hold the shift, or I'm not, actually not the shift, just hit the equals button, because we want equal, and we want this one right here. Okay, and we're going to grab the other actor, and we're going to check to see if the other actor is the same as the player, and then from up here we're going to get a branch. Okay, so type in branch, and this is what's going to do our check. So if the condition is true that the other player is the actor, nope, don't do that. I'll put it right there. All right. Okay, if it's true, then we're going to do something. Now that we've got these here, I'm going to actually select all three of these. So the branch, the equals, and the get player pawn. I'm going to come down here, Control D to duplicate it, and I'm going to pull them up a little bit, kind of line them up. All right, I'm going to make this connection here. Check the other player, make sure it is the other actor is the player. All right, so there we go. Now that's the beginnings of what we want. All right, the next thing we're going to need is we're going to right click here, and we're going to type in timeline. Okay, and hit enter, because it should come out with this timeline, and I'm going to call this raise platform. Okay, so this is what's going to be used to raise my platform up and down. I'm going to connect the true to play from start, and I'm going to use this true down here and we're going to reverse it. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into this. So we're going to double click on the timeline and go into the timeline. All right, and for my demonstration, what I did is I used a 5-second time. I just went ahead and just left it default here for this 5 seconds. Click on track, and we're going to add a float track. So the very top one right here. All right, and we're going to name this Move Pedestal. I have no idea if I'm spelling that right, but there we go. All right, so we're going to move pedestal. Now I'm down here on the timeline. I'm going to right click on somewhere in the space, and I'm going to add a key to curve float. I'm going to select that little blue diamond, and it should be highlighted up here. And I'm going to type in 0 for the 0 for the time and 0 for the value. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click in here. I'm going to add another key to float. This one I'm going to click on. I'm going to type 5 in here. And then for the up value, I'm going to type in my case, because of the distance, I've typed in 250. Now, depending on how far you want it to move up and down, you're going to change this value. And don't forget, also change your time, okay? Your overall time. Because right now, I'm only using 5 seconds because I'm moving a fairly short distance. The pedestal doesn't move too fast. But if you want it to kind of keep a nice, even, slow pace, then you got to calculate the time and distance, right? That equals your speed. So you need to figure out time over distance for speed, or speed over, yeah. Anyway, so that's going to affect how fast your character or your pedestal will move up and down, or elevator, or whatever it's going to be. So I'm just repeating that a couple of times so you know that this number right here is the length of the animation, and then this also is the length of the animation, as well as the distance, all right? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and compile and save that. I'm going to go back to my event graph, and there's one other thing we need to do. We're going to need to go ahead and add in a function that's actually going to move that pedestal, okay? So down here, we're going to click the plus, and I'm going to just call this move up and down, okay? All right, so we're going to move up and down. We're going to add a input right here. So we're going to add an input. I'm going to also call this move up and down. And I'm going to change this to a float. Okay. Compile and save what we got so far. Now, the next thing I need to do is I'm going to set a relative location for the pedestal. So I'm going to right click in here, set relative, and we should end up with a bunch of choices here. Okay, so set relative location for the pedestal. So this very top one on my screen right here, set relative location pedestal. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the top here, and then right here where it says new location, the orange little pin, I'm going to right click on that pin, and I'm going to split the struct pin right here. And now I'm going to tie this into my Z, because Z for my object is up and down. Now, if you're bringing in a model external from Unreal Engine and it does not naturally have its direction, so when you're bringing it in, up and down isn't Z, if it's laying over its side and you had to rotate it either in the X or Y direction, double check to see what direction is really up for that object, okay? It may be that X or Y is the up for that object. But since this is a Unreal Engine Epic product, Z is up and down for this. And when I go back to the viewport and I click on it, you'll see the Z is in the up direction for this pedestal, okay? But if you bring in something else, it could be either the X or the Y, or it could be the negative of any of these as well. So just double check to see which way that arrow is pointing. Okay, if you had it rotated 180 degrees and it's in the negative Z direction, make sure you take that into consideration for movement up and down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and compile and save everything so far. We're going to go back to our event graph, And I'm going to go back over here to my function, that one we just created. I'm going to pull that out, drop it over here, and I'm going to connect this up so that my update goes here and my move pedestal goes in the move up and down part of the function. I'm going to compile that and save it. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back into my scene here. I'm going to go to my content drawer, go in and find that new blueprint we just made. Remember, I put it in platforms. I'm going to drag that out here. I'm going to just drag it up a little bit, and you can see there's the scale of it right there. Okay. And I'm going to kind of just stick it up just a little bit so my ball can get on there, but without too much problems. We hit save. I hit play. And I'm going to run over to that pedestal. I guess I should have put it closer to the start. Run over that pedestal to the elevator. And when I jump on it, it should go up about 250. And, oh, I see that we may need to fix the collider on this. See how I got that air gap underneath my ball? We're going to fix that real quick. All right, so if I go off of it, though, it should go back down. And there it goes. All right, so just to kind of clean up the way that platform looks, I'm going to go back to my pedestal. Right here in the static meshes, I'm going to double-click on this. And because this one actually is moving up and down, let's take a look and see what kind of a collision we have on it. So select the simple colliders. You can kind of see that it's up off the surface area there. If I click on it, I'm just going to push it down a little bit. I'm going to push that down so that's right at the very surface. Now we could have also changed out the colliders, but we want to keep a simple collider on this. We don't want to go with a complex collider because this is moving. Okay. And that may cause some problems with our object. So let me go ahead and save that, go back to my level, I'm going to change my current camera location for my spawning point, and now we're going to go back in here, and there we go. I'm actually sitting mostly on the ground. It's really, you got to really look down at it to see if it's not, but it looks a lot better than it did. We could, go a little bit further if we wanted to. But that's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it real quick. I'm going to jump off of it. I'm going to go all the way down. So I'm going to go back on, and I'm going to have it start to go up, and then I'm going to jump off of it again. I want to make sure that it stays, yep, it goes right to back at this original start position. All right. Oh, there we go. That's the right button. Okay, so now that's pretty much it for this video. Should be pretty quick, easy to do. You can see the process. And again, if you wanted to change it to a sliding door that moves left and right, you can easily change the direction that the object moves by just changing your inputs to your blueprint here. So if you just went in and changed the direction for which direction you were having it move, so whether it was moving left or right or up and down or left, right, whatever, you can easily do that and kind of just play around with it until you get the right look that you want. All right. Okay, that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, please make sure to put them down in the comments. If you like the video, go ahead and comment down there as well. Make sure to like it. And again, if you want to see more content, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time.